And we are back with the Dr. Joe Show with Patrick Troy-Brandt, talking about his experiences and his experiences alone as a soldier, veteran, and an actor. And we got pretty deep there off the air, and I think we're going to keep going with it.
Yeah. We were talking about the suicides in our veterans, 30,000, and unfortunately counting. And Patrick, I'm just wondering what your thoughts are, where you want to go with this.
Um, you know, I think again, I guess. Well, I think, and I'm not an expert. I haven't looked up numbers on this, but maybe it's worth mentioning that I feel like suicides might be up across quite a few members of the categories of people nowadays. But yeah, obviously, I mean, with service members and with veterans. I mean, I think back to what we were just talking about before, that maybe there's still a disconnect in actually listening to what's bothering veterans and what's bothering people, and maybe there's still an apprehension for veterans to fully talk about all of their experiences, because I think that a lot of people don't understand that it's not what you think that makes you unhealthy. It's what you do with those thoughts, right?
Yes, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with the feeling. It's what you do with it that's important.
And I think that there's, at least I know, again, in the infantry community, there's a serious apprehension to kind of talk freely about some of the more positive associations people have with their wartime experiences.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying that's necessarily healthy, to have a positive attachment to a particularly gruesome firefight, but that's definitely something that needs to be talked about openly. Um,
Yeah, and again, you're right. I mean, through COVID, all categories have increased in terms of depression, anxiety, and in completed suicides. Um, but I think, there's the mythology that soldiers are tough and they're meant to be able to withstand all this stuff. And if you as a soldier can't do that, then there's something wrong with you. Or the idea that we're on such high alert all the time when you're in combat or facing that. I mean, and then you come back home and you can't turn that part of your brain off.
yeah.
And it's overwhelming, the anxiety and that fear. And yet you're not meant to be afraid. You're a soldier. So there may be all of that. And I want to just segue it back, if it's okay, back into the theater, because you were in a show during COVID called All My Sons. And I know we were talking a bit about that off air as well, but can you just talk a little bit about that show, what it is,
Sure.
and you as a veteran being in it?
Yeah. So, for those who don't know, All My Sons is a classic Arthur Miller play that takes place in the late 1940s, and it centers around a Midwestern family that has two adult sons that went off to fight in World War II, and one of them didn't come home. Um, and spoiler alerts all over the place in here, but it was written in 1948, so you probably should have checked it out by now. But no, but anyway, as it turns out, the father was in charge of a factory that manufactured airplane engines, and there was a crack in there was a fault in the manufacturing process, and we are led to believe that the father let these engine heads go through the factory to make the quota, and this engine ended up being in, the airplane of a plane that killed a bunch of American pilots, and the son is so overwrought with grief that he ends up committing suicide by diving his plane into the ocean, essentially. Um, so I played the surviving son, Chris, who was a World War II veteran, and Chris was dealing with, amongst other things, a significant amount of unchecked survivor's guilt, and um, and uh, that's definitely something that I've struggled with. With a There was a particular mission that, um, without going into the details, essentially the truck that I was crewing, the gun, gun truck, a Humvee with a machine gun on it, was switched out for another team's truck last minute for some freak incident, and that team's truck ended up hitting an incendiary IED, in which the occupants inside burned. Um,
Wow.
and so, it's taken a lot to talk about that freely, but
I appreciate you being able to do that. So you were going to be that truck and
yeah,
got switched
I
out.
mean, yeah, we were, I was a scout truck for convoy operations, which means that this was in Iraq. And so the scout truck drives 3 to 5 kilometers above in front of the convoy to, scout for things. And just at the last minute, one of our truck's engines was having trouble. So the convoy behind us was sent out the gate first. And
Whoa.
that's what we understand happened.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, um, navigating a character that's so, close to yourself, especially when it comes to the trauma that they have endured and that they're going through, is a slugfest. It was really, and it was compounded by the fact that we were, my class was going through this, in 2020. So we were supposed to be doing this live in theater, with other breathing, living people around us, but we were allocated to the world of Zoom. So each actor was in their own apartment. I mean, I'm in the apartment I'm in now, um, trying to be in a realism scene with other Zoom faces. Um, and the most the weirdest thing was at the end of the night, once you switched off from rehearsal or from a show, I was just here alone, you know. and
Hmm.
and yeah, I had a couple of pretty significant breakdowns over
Hmm.
that. um, but I will also say that, um, because of the support that I've had, I've kind of been able to work through that, and it's been an intense sort of therapy for me. Um, it's been said that that acting shouldn't be your therapy, but it can be therapeutic. You shouldn't become an actor because you want to solve your problems, but
Mhm.
sometimes it works out. But yeah, it's, I mean, I think about maybe someone who is very close to the AIDS crisis that has to perform in Angels in America, which is a play that centers around exactly around that. And so it's, my story's not unique, but it is a facet of the actor life, I guess. Uh,
So that's a small change with a big effect. The fact that
mm,
you were there, the show is over and you're alone, as opposed to being in backstage with the whole crew of people.
right.
The I am small changes can have big effects. What small change can you recommend to people who may be going through similar things right now, Patrick?
Yeah, I guess this time I would offer that having a creative outlet can really offer you something. Um, just don't keep it bottled up. And, you know, uh, if there's no one to talk to immediately, find a way to express it a different way, and that you can share with other people at a later date, maybe.
Mm.
But I think creativity, and I think give yourself a creative outlet, you know. Like,
And the second truth of the I am, you control no one, you influence everyone. You get to choose the kind of influence you want to be. Patrick, you've been a pretty powerful influence tonight, but what kind of influence do you want to be?
type of influence that supports the future generation, maybe.
You know, your sharing your experiences is so powerful. And I hope people can hear this, that it's okay to do this. It's okay to be who you are and not have to worry that you're broken or that you're less than, but that you're responding to the four domains: your home domain, the social domain, the biological domain, and the I see. How do I see myself? How do I think other people see me? And Patrick, you're telling us that the way you saw yourself when you were 17 is different than now. And this just makes sense, folks. We will look at ourselves differently, but never underestimate yourselves. You have enormous, enormous value. Enormous value. Patrick, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Folks, thank you, veterans. Thank you, all of you, on the Dr. Joe Show.
Stretch the canvas, rush with madness. Is it sadness or just a show? Then go, go, go.